people. Thank you so much for tuning into the Be Love podcast, where we'll talk about growing ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Big welcome back for returning listeners, and a big welcome to those who are new as well. I am your host, Ashley Chaddock, and today we're going to be discussing mindful habits and goal setting. So, to kind of kick off the episode, we will talk about what a habit is. I always thought the definition of a habit was in like everyday task that's become a ritual. According to Google, it is much deeper than that. So Google says a habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. I fully expected the routine of behavior part, but the part about the subconscious got me. I guess I never really thought about how deep a habit can take root. That will bring us into the topic of mindful habits. Think about a habit that you currently have. Let's say you bump into somebody who's not familiar with it. How would you describe that habit? Would you say it smells good? It tastes good? Is it a good habit? A bad habit? And just a small disclaimer here, if it's something that is completely unedible, please do not stick it in your mouth to try to figure out what it tastes like. We're not going to do that. Not today. No, sir, no, ma'am. We don't have time for that. So if it's not edible, please do not stick it in your mouth. If you're not sure how to describe the habit, that's completely okay. Just next time you're about to take part in the habit, just make a note of how it feels to you. If you can taste it, what's it taste like? If it has a smell, what's it smell like? Use your senses because understanding how it feels creates that mindful habit, meaning you're fully aware of what's going on rather than just going through the motions. For me, I had a horrible, I mean, a horrible habit of drinking caffeine all day, every day, just about 24/7. I was drinking little to no water. I would drink coffee, soda, sweet tea, you name it. It was going in my system one way or another. I had like maybe on a good day I would have 2 cups of water, which obviously that was not good. I was not mindful at all when it came to caffeine. Like, I would see it, I would smell it, and the thought of it, I'm like, yep, I gotta have that right now. I wasn't paying attention to what it was doing to me, and then later on was when I started to notice how it was affecting me. I was very emotional. You could say anything that would upset me, and I noticed that my skin was breaking out, and that was just horrifying to me because I love taking care of myself. So when I saw the breakouts, I was like, oh no, 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 you gotta go. So that was the first thing that made me decide that I needed to kick the habit. And also, I noticed that I was sleeping in more, and I love my mornings. I love the sunlight in the mornings. I love the birds chirping. I just love mornings. They're really peaceful to me. I was also missing out on time with my kids, so I was tired of it. I was like, nope, nope, nope. You're not having control over me anymore. And I decided to make a change. So I tried the cold turkey method at first, and for those of you that don't know, the cold turkey method is just when you completely cut it out and you don't wean yourself off of it or anything. You just completely cut it out and you don't touch it or anything. You don't go anywhere near it. I wanted to try that because my grandmother had told me a story back when I was in high school, um, that she had a very bad smoking habit. She was also a very devout Catholic woman. She sat down at her kitchen table and prayed that she would have the strength to quit smoking. And after she said that, she has not touched a cigarette since, which kudos to her. For me personally, I could not do it. The headaches were awful. I was even more emotional than I was before. So kudos to her for having the strength and will to do that. It's just for me, it was not working. It was awful. For those of you who completely succeeded in the cold turkey method, hats off to you, round of applause, all the congratulations in the world to you. that takes a whole lot of willpower, let me tell you. I was not a fan of it. It was really hard. So I tried weaning myself from caffeine. So each day I would decrease my caffeine intake by 20 ounces and replace what I was drinking with water. That way I didn't have to be like, oh, I need something in my hand to drink right now. I would replace it with sparkling water, lemon water, regular water, or just fruit infused water, just whatever I needed to get water into my system and make it more tolerable, because sometimes just plain water is not the same. It's just, it gets boring after a while, so you need to kick it up a notch, just to give it that kind of oomph, if you know what I mean. And after about a month of doing that, I started to see changes in my skin. My skin was clear. I noticed changes in my energy levels, which was positive. I was able to get up early in the mornings and do what I needed to do around the house and play with my kids or whatever they needed, I would get done. And I was able to see the mornings again. It was really nice. I also started to notice that I was more positive, and that felt really good. That was really good for me. And for those of you who have the same habit that I did, you're more than welcome to try my methods. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. Just don't give up. Find something that will work for you. I will be completely transparent with you. I have not 100% kicked caffeine from my life. Every other morning or so, I will drink about a cup of half calf coffee. And for those that don't know, half calf coffee is coffee with caffeine levels reduced by half. So it doesn't have nearly as much caffeine as normal coffee would have. If I don't feel like drinking coffee that morning, I will drink warm lemon water. For me, it's just the warmth of the liquid that comforts me and really motivates me to get my day started. Every once in a blue moon, I will go to Starbucks and I will get a chai tea latte made with oat milk. And since it is fall now, I'll do a chai tea latte made with oat milk and pumpkin sauce in it. I also like their caramel apple spice. And then they also have this non dairy apple drink. And I tried that for the first time a couple weeks ago and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I will not tell you that caffeine is the worst thing in the world and you need to avoid it completely. It's okay to reward yourselves as long as if you're not slipping back into those old habits. Just every once in a while, reward yourself once you feel you have the willpower to do so. I will not lie to you and tell you that it was really easy because it was not by any means. It was really hard. There were days to where I felt like I was going to fall back into those old habits, but I stayed consistent and I pictured myself as the person that I wanted to be once I had reached my goal. You do the same thing. Picture yourself as the person you would be after you've kicked a bad habit or developed a good habit. Tell yourself, I'm taking control back. Imagine how good that would feel to you once you get to that goal, you reach that goal. Imagine how good you would feel. It helped me, it may help you. If not, again, don't stop. There are other methods. Just keep going. And this is where we talk about goal setting. When you have the free time, grab a pen and a paper, a pencil, notepad, whatever is available to you, and sit down and write a list of things that you can do now. Make sure that you don't take on a whole bunch of things at once, that it's not something that you can do at the moment because you will overwhelm yourself and then you'll start to feel bad and then you will not follow through with what you've written down. So start off with something small and easy, and then when you reach that goal, move on to the next thing that you can do within that moment. That way, again, you're not overwhelmed and you feel more proud of yourself because you took that first step. And then once you go on to the second step, you'll start to have more faith in what you're doing. And that really is the key here. The key is to have the belief that you're taking control back. Now, just a quick disclaimer here, I'm not a doctor, a dietitian, or anything of the sort. If you have health issues, please talk to your doctor before you do anything. Remember, the goal for this podcast is to help people step into their power and change lives, not to make things worse. Once you have the green light, make those necessary changes. If you don't have the green light, ask your doctor for alternatives that you can do now. If you need the motivation, talk to someone who inspires you and ask for advice. You can also check out things like Pinterest, YouTube, other podcasts. There's a whole world of things out there that you can use to motivate yourself. Just take that first step. Take that first step to being a better you. Whatever you need to get to where you want to be. For my readers, I hear Atomic Habits by James Clear as a must read. I haven't read it yet, but maybe that's something that we can all do together. Speaking of doing things together, always remember you are not doing this alone. Someone out there has the same goals that you do. They may not be taking the same steps, but they do have the same goal. Imagine bumping into somebody that says, "Oh man, you look really great. What did you do to get there? I'm struggling. How did you do that?" You will be that inspiration for that person to take the necessary steps to get to where they want to be. If you hear the words "I'm struggling" come out of someone's mouth, have them switch that mindset. Have them say in front of you in that moment, "I'm taking the control back." And then that will be the kickstart to them realizing they need to do better and not give in to whatever it is that they're going through. Tell them when they have a free moment to grab a pen and a paper and do what we talked about earlier. Make a small list of things that you can do right now to reach your goal. That way you don't get overwhelmed and you don't fall back into those old habits. Just like I did with my caffeine problem, I started off by cutting out 20 ounces one day, then 40 ounces the next day, 60 ounces the next day, and so on and so forth until I got to where I am now. My goal was to reduce the amount of caffeine that I took in each day by 20 ounces until I was drinking more water than caffeine. I'm also taking the same steps when it comes to taking better care of my body. I want to be a healthier version of myself as well, so I'm taking the necessary steps to do that. It's not easy, but again, I'm staying consistent with it and picturing the person that I would be once I complete and reach my goal. And so, my beautiful listeners, this is where we will end today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit subscribe so you don't miss any more content. And please leave a comment if you resonated with today's message. And if you know somebody who could really use the motivation, then send them this podcast because we all need to do our part to create a better, loving world for not just ourselves but for future generations as well. I will be signing off to do some homework for our next topic, which is staying positive during hard times. Until then, take care and remember to be loving. And I will talk to you later.